The federal budget is coming up this week, and Labor's hand-picked Economic Equality Task Force has recommended that the age at which a single mother must stop receiving government support to stay at home and start looking for work be lifted from the age of 8, a level that was struck during the Howard years, to the age of 16. And word on the street is that Labor are planning to lift the age to somewhere between the age of 12 and 16. Now, single motherhood, I'm sure, is a tough gig by any measure, but we do those people experiencing it little good by paying them sit-down money for 12 to 16 years per child. Now, that period can become much longer if a parent has multiple children because the clock restarts each time a new child is born. And after such a long time out of the workforce, those women face a real skills and confidence crunch that can make for low employment prospects for the rest of their careers and low wages, even if they are able to get into work. That snowballs into limited retirement savings as compared to women who, whether they are with or without a partner, worked for the bulk of their parenthood. Now, this doesn't have to be a conversation marked by extremity. The choice isn't between abandoning a child at home and being a present but poor parent. Even a decision to engage in part-time work would mitigate a lot of the social and economic harm to women and children over the long term. But the current policy settings incentivise inactivity. It makes no sense when we consider that at the same time that we're paying single parents not to work, we're simultaneously providing around $15.1 billion a year in taxpayer subsidies to get women with children under the age of 5 to go to work. It absolutely defies logic to spend heavily to incentivise one cohort of mothers to work while simultaneously spending heavily to disincentivise another cohort to do so. And this is particularly so when one of those groups includes women in families earning over $500,000, which is what Labor's policy does. The Economic Equality Task Force grounds its recommendations to lift the 8-year limit on single-parent welfare to 16 on data that shows a correlation between single parenthood and child poverty. Nobody's going to endorse the idea of child poverty, and I accept wholeheartedly that single parenthood is difficult. But nowhere in that analysis is there an acknowledgement of the role of the parent in making a decision not to do any work in these situations. Similarly, there's no acknowledgement of the role for civil society more widely, like bigger family networks and broader communities, in embracing families experiencing hardship. Instead, it's framed as yet another job for the long arm of government, and hopelessly contradictory policies are what you get as the product. The result is to entrench disadvantage for those women in our community who find themselves raising children alone. And because humans often learn by example, that often, but not always, becomes intergenerational. There has, let's be real here, never been a better time to get a job in this country. This is a cold, bare fact, not a political slogan. There's a skill shortage biting, and more employers than ever are willing to give an out-of-the-box candidate a chance. Right now, there are more jobs than job seeker payment recipients in this country. High demand like this really is dynamite for people who have experienced discrimination or difficulty, like older workers, single parents, and people with a disability. And yet, instead of our public discussion being about how to get the right outcomes and value for money in the policy surrounding care for children, which starts with the policies not operating in conflict with one another, the debate we're having is about the amount by which welfare payments should be increased or getting longer exemptions from work. Got no doubt, again, that it's hard to make ends meet on welfare right now. But we should also direct some of our compassion to working families who are struggling with the cost of living, rather than slugging those very same families with more inflation and higher taxes in sympathy for those who don't work, despite a climate where everyone who is willing to work can get a go.